How are you doing?
Good afternoon, Shiba. And how amazing is it that we're in the same room, we're breathing the same air together. How amazing is that?
It is incredible, man. I'm so glad to see you finally.
Yes,
yeah,
it's brilliant.
It has been quite a long time
Quite a
coming.
journey.
Quite a long time coming, and
I think really it all started in early 2020.
Yep, right after the pandemic, right during the pandemic.
During the pandemic, yeah. And a lot has changed since then. Obviously, we've seen the world change, but so much has been changing. We've had an interview, didn't we? I think that was 2021. We had the interview. So what's been changing since then? Tell us about the Shiba changes.
Yeah, so we have been making quite a bit of progress on the company front. Personally, I have learned tremendously from folks like you and others on the similar on our community, and at the same time, I am generally now appreciating more that people are also acknowledging to a certain extent that there needs to be some more changes that needs to happen. What we have been calling it is a course correction. We are generally going in the right direction of the decarbonization and bringing everybody along in that same journey, but we do need a little bit of a course correction to speed up the process significantly, because any other pathway to getting to decarbonization seems like it's taking too much long, using excessive minerals and growing our footprint on nature, and that's a very severe pain point for global ecosystems.
Do you think since the pandemic stage we went through, do you think people now are starting to listen more than before? Before, say, 2018.
Yeah, so maybe I'll just give an example. The reason, as you remember, the Economist, the magazine, one of the most premier publications of the planet, they had a event, Energy Transition Summit, and also the Sustainability Week, just this week in London. They had invited me, and I'm honored that they even considered reaching out to us and getting me here. And that gave me an opportunity, along with some other collaboration that we are pursuing, and so made an incredible opportunity for me to come and visit and get a chance to talk to you. What I'm finding at these conferences lately, unlike 3 years ago, or even 2 years ago, that people are receptive and willing to listen and understand why we are not being able to get to the decarbonization targets fast enough. What are the challenges for the transportation electrification on an intermittent grid? And people are generally willing to give the time to listen, appreciate some of the challenges. And I wouldn't necessarily say that they're completely on board with what needs to be done, but they're at least participating in the discussions. So that's a very big change.
When you talk about the targets, the global targets that we're heading towards, do you think they're realistic? Do you think they're achievable?
Well, let me be very candid. We absolutely have to decarbonize. And we do have to decarbonize with gusto and with significant speed. Because climatic conditions are collapsing, we are finding that the ecological boundaries we have already pushed on those significantly. So time is of the essence. We know some of the technologies that would exist going into the future: solar, wind, electric vehicles. The question is, how do we make this all play out with the least amount of footprint growth on nature and with the minimum amount of damages that is required for mining? As you know, this transition is not going to happen without minerals and material, because electricity has no footprint, no shape or form, but it requires tremendous amount of material and minerals to overcome the energy content of fossil fuel. So how do we do this? I do believe that the mission that humanity is on is the right mission to pursue. But at the same time, we have to make sure that cost doesn't go up, and everything else that I explained has to be intact, and we need to do this with the right speed. Can we do this with the existing framework and trying to preserve the existing paradigm? That's the issue. That really is the issue. I'm heartened by the fact that at this conference, given the stature at which The Economist is and their editorial board, they were pushing back. They were saying that perhaps maybe, this agenda needs to be rethought and we need a new framework.
That's promising.
That is very promising. They didn't come out with a solution, because that's the task of the technologists, that's the task of the startup operations to come up with innovative ideas, and maybe in our case, as we have been talking about, it's that architectural change, both in how we integrate electric vehicles and the grid together.
How does the technology, you talk about technology, how does that change? Has that got to evolve more, or have we got the technology as of today to do what we need to be doing?
The short answer is no. We do not have the technology. As much as we would hear the same talking points, we have all the technologies we need. My simple question to you would be...
You're not meant to give me questions back, by the way. No.
It's kind of a rhetorical way of asking you. The simple thing is this. If we had all the technologies, why are we talking about inequity in the system? Why are we talking about we are not making the transition fast enough? It is inevitable.
We've got the technology to do the baby steps to start doing this, haven't we?
That's correct.
We just need that technology to evolve, don't we?
Because we have to, let's not forget, we have to get the global north and the global south together working on this.
And the east and west.
And the east and
You've
west.
got to bring it all together.
All together, and the folks that are being left behind right now, they are primarily being left behind because excessive costs in the system.
Exactly.
Both in terms of the capital costs and in terms of the price increases that are happening with electricity rates globally. And we can get into that topic briefly, but there was some great information and learning for me at this conference too.
And that's what brings you to the UK.
That's correct.
We're very fortunate, and thank you for coming.
Thank you for thanks to the organizers to have me here. What I as a fact, right? So they said that yes, Norway has been the leader in adopting electric vehicles. They have 80% adoption of electric vehicles, at least in the new vehicle sales. So they have lots of electric vehicles moving around in the country and pretty good infrastructure for that. But what people don't fully understand, looking behind, why are they being able to do it beyond the policy mandates, is because their electricity mix is vastly different than that of the United States. They have 88% hydropower supplying the grid. 88% hydropower is like the entire renewable resource is dispatchable. In the United States, we have 6.6% hydropower, which wouldn't even move the needle with respect to renewables. And so when we are trying to bring in solar and wind into the mix, which is non-dispatchable resources, it creates a significant resource headache. And the only way to make this happen in the United States and similar electricity mix jurisdictions is with substantial amount of energy storage. To the level of, the energy storage itself would have to match the peak demand of the grid. And those are prohibitively expensive with today's prices. And so we need architectural solutions.
When we talk about the drivers, there's an environmental driver Where's the other drivers coming into it? Is there a financial driver to actually do what we're trying to achieve here?
Yeah, so this is a tremendous opportunity, right? With any other challenges that humanity typically faces, if we are able to overcome that, and we will overcome this. I mean, I have no doubt that we will get this all squared away. We will go in the right direction because humanity has always gone towards higher efficiency solutions.
Yeah.
And so we will get there. And that creates a significant amount of opportunity financially and monetarily. Yes, I understand there is a tremendous amount of momentum behind what has been proclaimed to be the path forward, but that is still the path forward. We are talking about, and the economists and the conference, the folks at the conference, we're also talking about that we probably need a little bit of a course correction.
Yeah.
And that course correction could be substantial, but we'll all be better for that because we would have then uplifted many societies, many communities, and in the process we would be getting to decarbonization objectives and targets much sooner.
Yeah. And is there one solution that's going to fit this, or is there going to be many solutions?
Well, we would need multiple generation solutions. Wind and solar, I'm big believers in those. There may be geothermal might play a role. There could be some amount of biomass that would also most likely, and they have already been playing a pretty substantial role in some of those jurisdictions. With respect to energy storage, we are finding that lithium-ion has a pretty strong lead because the electric vehicle requires lithium-ion, and so the supply chain has progressed and matured very substantially. There may be other chemistries coming down the pipeline, but for the foreseeable future, I see lithium-ion on the energy storage side. There may be some other flow batteries on the grid scale applications.
Do you think there's anything that we haven't thought about yet, or it's not even on our radar? Do you think something will then come up, someone's exploring? And I'm just putting it out there because it's, sometimes there's stuff there that's under our noses we haven't even thought about yet.
Well, we have seen sodium sulfide batteries quite a bit. Supply chain may be a challenge in the beginning, but maybe they can come up to scale and solve that problem. But the momentum behind lithium-ion is very strong. The good part is, we are chemistry agnostic with our technology, with our power electronics technology, so we can accommodate anything high dense, high power.
Can you talk about storage. Your solutions that you've got in your plans?
Yeah, our solutions are leveraging the electric vehicle as the quintessential bidirectional storage for the distribution network, without having to go through any equipment deployment, any significant infrastructure build, leveraging the existing infrastructure and extending its life and extending its utilization even further.
Yeah.
So that's what we are trying to do.
Because that's got one fix already, isn't it? Because you just said about using the existing infrastructure. The existing infrastructure, the way it's being used now, currently, isn't going to be good enough, is it? It needs work. It's the weakest link.
It is the weakest link, and so we have to enhance and beef it up.
Yeah.
And the way to beef it up, there are two schools of thinking. One camp believes that we have to build major infrastructure, a lot of grid power, a lot of grid transmission lines. The other school, which I can believe is, and with the technological solutions that is, we can extend the existing grid and probably can even bring in 2 times the renewables generation on the same grid by leveraging the distribution network. Now there needs to be some adaptation and some technological innovation on the distribution network, but that is not to the extent the infrastructure build that we are otherwise contemplating. You have heard about NIMBY,
Yes.
right? Not in my backyard. Now the term that we are hearing is called banana.
Right.
Build absolutely nothing anywhere near anything,
Yeah.
right? So
And who are the people saying that?
Well-
Government?
communities.
Right.
The communities are waking up and saying that probably for the right reasons, most likely, because they are feeling the pain. They don't want these kind of infrastructure go up, and they are also pointing out that it's a sore eye, and it's sticking out in the middle of nowhere, and it's ruining not just the view for many properties, but it is actually damaging on nature. And that's what most people are complaining about.
Yeah.
So we are probably transitioning from the era of build, and deploy to something, build absolutely nothing anywhere near anything, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah. That's always been the struggles, because there's always going to be the what I call naysayers, isn't there? The people who say no, that's not.
I think
We don't need that. We don't need that.
well, you understand, but these are two extremes.
Yeah. Yeah.
So the middle ground is leveraging the existing infrastructure. Let's get this to the fullest extent, utilize it to the maximum amount of material content that the grid already has, and let's not wait on this transition.
When we met online back in 2020, you've always been banging this drum. It's now 2024. You're still banging the drum harder, and you're travelling. What are your challenges? What have you found your challenges to be doing this?
My challenges have been primarily in the 2 or 3 years ago, I couldn't even get people in the same room.
Right.
Now at least I can have people in the same room. We can even sip coffee, tea together,
Yeah.
and they are listening.
Yeah.
So in a lot of sense, we have made quite a bit of progress.
Yeah.
We have seen policy progress on California side. We have seen the lawmakers recognizing the need for different approach. What I have been calling is the course correction. And we also are seeing some investor appetite before all the policy mandates are structured. So that is very positive.
I'm interested to know, the minute you wake up, you start working on this to the minute you go to bed. And that's what you do every day. And you've been doing that since 2020, yeah? Before then?
I have been, so Sinewatts was founded in 2011.
Right.
We were only going to do solar photovoltaic, and I'd be a happy man after that, and the plan didn't go accordingly. Solar has many challenges.
You've had a slight detour on the way, yeah?
And we had a slight detour in the way. And the detour, for good or for bad, actually is very substantial and extremely profound, because as you know, batteries cannot push power back into the grid by themselves. Batteries cannot power electric motors. Batteries cannot by themselves. Batteries do nothing.
Yeah.
It's the power electronics that mated with the batteries or outside of the vehicle that makes things happen.
And that's your background and expertise, isn't it? Because I remember rightly,
it's the power
electrical electronics.
Power electronics, that's correct.
Doctor as such, aren't you? We should be calling you Dr. Shiba, yeah?
I go by Shiba again, that's good enough. Yeah. That itself is a difficult name sometimes for some people, so.
Yeah. So, how's the future looking now? You know, obviously we're getting bright because now we're out and about.
I'm very excited.
Yeah.
I'm far more excited after coming to London, not because it's a beautiful city, I get to meet you and in person.
Yeah.
But even beyond that, I see positive signs of people waking up to the recognition, people listening to what we are saying, people admitting that we do need a course correction. We haven't yet gone to the place that, okay, this is the solution that we have been advocating, but we are getting there. We are very close, very close.
Yeah.
So Before I couldn't get people in the same room. Now I can get people in the same room. People are listening, understanding, recognizing, and the next step would be working together and manifesting.
And going back home now, you're back home tomorrow, but will you be able to take something back with you of confidence that you can then take back to California and to leverage back again to give it more lift?
Yes, I will take back the messages that I learned and the data and the facts that were shared at the conference, and which I'll be talking very soon.
Yeah.
Some of it I already discussed with you here, and relay that back to the policymakers in California and our collaborating partners in California. It will only highlight to them that the need for the change is now, and the need for the change is not if, it's a matter of when. And as the more we delay, the more damages we are doing on nature, the more of those planetary boundaries we are confronting against, and more we are taking away an easier life out of the future generations. So it's time for us to now act and make things happen. I brought up Norway, and which is another thing I learned at the event. 80% electric vehicle adoption on an annual basis. Most of the vehicles are electric today. I'm talking about the new vehicles that are being sold. But what they're seeing is only 11% fossil fuel reduction. That means the vehicles that are getting adopted, that are getting bought, are really not moving the needle. So we need to cater our policies, we need to cater our mandates in such a way that we make the biggest bang for the buck. When we are going to put in all these incentives and build the infrastructure, we want to do so for vehicles that really moves the needle, or vehicles that really move the needle. The reason is, what good does it do? Because as you know, I mean, electric vehicles it requires a lot of minerals. So we want to utilize that mineral and get the biggest mileage out of it. So far as decarbonization is concerned.
So as you know, this goes out to energy experts around the world. Is there any messages you want to give to them as a takeaway? You know, I normally do my takeaway.
Well, it's
something to give back to the industry.
London and my general travels in the UK has been one of fulfilling hope. I'm energized that the British are receptive. They are listening, they are watching, they are progressing in the right direction, and they are also acknowledging that certain changes need to happen. The same thing we are finding in California. Certain facts cannot be hidden, and all the trouble spots are now showing up through this transition process. And my general message is that it's not that we do not have all the technologies. We may have the general idea of what needs to happen, but the implementation details still needs to be worked out. And implementation details, the devil is in the details. And
it's as if we need a process map put against all this to understand what steps to take, when to take them, how to take them, isn't it? Everything's all there. It's like a puzzle box, I suppose. We've got all the bits. We need people to put them all together in the right place at the right time.
So the progression that is happening now, let it keep going. At the same time, we need to invest in the next generation technologies. The next generation technologies that is going to make the grid far more distributed, decentralized, and dematerialized. And let's make that happen. Leverage the electric vehicles, the next generation electric vehicles, like the way we want it to happen. With all the infrastructure built in, it reduces the pressure points on the system and lowers the capacity build, thereby making a just transition by lowering the cost for everybody.
Well, Shiba, I feel really honoured that you're in London and you come and see me. It's been amazing.
It has been
to see you.
incredible.
It seems a bit surreal that
It is.
we're talking to each other without going through a laptop
And then
things.
suddenly, all of a sudden, it happened.
Yeah, it's amazing. So I feel privileged that you've come on and you've allowed me to sort of grab some time.
It is always fun to be with you, and obviously we spend a lot of time online, but this is great to be sitting together and breathing the same air.
Brilliant. And then thank you, Shiba. Really, honestly, it's really great. Thank you very much.
Great. Thank you so much.
And sorry, lastly, you and your family, stay safe in these times.
Yes, you too.